Okay, 1 second. All right, what's up, everybody? It's pretty crazy, Jerry. It's we chatted for the first time. I think that was like mid-September, and it's 5 months later. I can't really believe that. But thanks for joining, man. Sorry about yesterday. I what happened was I was checking my email correspondence with you, and it was like, oh, I did say February 24th, and then I was like, I emailed a couple other people. Yeah, I'm gonna do another stream with Jerry soon, and I was like, I was emailing February 25th. I don't know what got in my mind, but since I work in we kind of we've worked in similar fields. Like I ended up having work yesterday, and it wasn't planned like 2 weeks ago, so I was like, I'm at work right now, but. Thanks for joining, everybody. We're just gonna have a chat. And how you doing, man?
Well, everything's good. I just went out. So I got a new office, and the guy who owns the office, he's Korean. So I went out with all of his Korean buddies, and they're heavy drinkers, man. It's crazy. So it was so awkward because there's 20, 30 Koreans there in a bar in downtown LA that for some reason, this is not K-Town, okay? This is downtown LA, and there's mostly Asians there. I'm standing there, I'm like, okay, man, maybe 10 years ago I would have not cared, but now I'm feeling so awkward. I drank a little with them, and of course I'm a little dazed in the morning when you drink with Koreans. So the NYC Korean MGTOW shows up. Let's ask them about Korean drinking culture. Like the women, especially all these like cutesy little like Korean women, they're drinking like crazy. And I'm wondering, maybe that's why they care so much about their skin. They go to a dermatologist every month because that's the only way they can shave off hitting the wall from the heavy drinking and drugs. So I don't know if someone Korean can give me a definitive reason.
The Korean wall comes sooner, apparently, because of the heavy drinking. That's
so that's why the women they take such good care of their skin, and they to counteract that they're visiting a dermatologist every month. That's what I heard. They take their skin, they take their physical appearance very seriously.
Well, NYC Korean MGTOW is in the house indeed, and he apparently has been in the ICU a couple times due to the drinking culture in Korea. So I think he corroborates that.
Why do you guys do it to yourself, NYC Korean MGTOW? Like, why do you guys? I don't get it, man.
I don't understand. Is there that about Korean culture? Is it more westernized in a sense in that regard? Like the heavy American emphasis on heavy drinking that I feel isn't really, it's not really an Eastern concept. I don't know. Yeah.
For me, just thinking from a Chinese perspective, again, I can't speak for Koreans, but from the Chinese perspective, a lot of relationships are formed via alcohol. So you want to do a business deal. If you want to go into business in China, you're going to get diabetes or get stomach problems because you're literally doing business over heavy drinking. So I don't know if that's the same in Korea. But the other thing is, Korea is much northern in latitude than where I'm from. So it's probably much colder on average in Korea than it is in most parts of China. So if it's cold as fuck, you probably need to drink to just get rid of the blues and to feel warmer. So I'm thinking from a climate angle via fucking Jared Diamond, and I'm thinking of a cultural angle.
That makes more sense, and I think I guess you're kind of inferring too that it's got that like that the effect that the temperature and the weather has in Russia on drinking. That's like such an indelible aspect of Russian culture is just heavy drinking because of you got to cope with the fact that you spit and it freezes in northern Siberia and the Ural Mountains and stuff. So it's just like, but it's that's a theory. I never thought of the cosmetic angle that they take in order to stave off the wall.
The one thing about Russians and drinking, which this is from my fight commentary channel. Since I've trolled a lot of Russian self-defense videos, a lot of angry Russians tell me that the thing about Russians drinking is actually a myth. Russia's not even in the top 5 or top 10 of vodka drinking countries. So maybe it's just a myth that American imperialists gave to the public to make Russians look sillier.
Wow. I don't understand. Where do you think that myth originates from? Is that just like kind of go hand in hand with like the Boris, aka machismo of Russia? Like, I don't.
And here's maybe, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, maybe the Russians that immigrated to America are really depressed because they had to leave the mother Russia. They had to leave the mother Russia because Russia was too communist. So it's like they're the ones that are very angry because they couldn't fit in Russian culture. You know, Russia was not the paradise that they thought. So maybe us as perceptions of Russians, of the expatriates, it's different than how Russians are.
That is that what you experienced with your Russian friend?
Yeah, my Russian friends, they're all very, very cynical.
Seems like you probably mastered that over time with that dude you always mention, especially in your early MGTOW videos. Yeah.
That guy red pilled me so well, but the funny thing is he freaking blue pilled because of a little Asian girl. It's so funny. It's like a cycle. You guys have to. That's why guys call each other out, right? They have to constantly keep themselves in check, or else they fall very quickly down an uncanny valley.
Well, that's an interesting thing. You basically said that by being friends that blue pill, actually red pill.
Yeah.
In a sense, sometimes even if you know what I mean, like you hang, at least for me, I probably was the case where I was the blue pill guy at times and other guys were rolling their eyes, and then it's been the other way around. And it's just like, you know, you get to see the other side of the coin, I guess.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like I remember one time he put up a picture. She's probably, I think they've officially broken up, but she's like 5 foot or 4'11". You know, your stereotypical little Asian girl, but she's got big tits, right? So that's why he likes her so much. She's like Nyatness, but she's please. So, anyways, it's a picture of the two of them. And he's got the goofy ass smile, the most mangina smile. So funny. And he's like 6'4". So somehow in that picture they look the same height, and she looks like she's in charge over him. So in the comment section, I just wrote mangina, and then he put up a picture of Patrick Stewart giving this face, and I'm like, well, I don't give a fuck. You know, you're my bro. When you look like a mangina, I'm gonna call you a mangina.
Well, I mean, it's good. You reach that point with your bro, and you're just like, I'm gonna say it for what it is, man. Like, you're either mangina or this is.
Friends saw it too. I don't care. I don't care if her friends see it. You look like a freaking mangina in that picture.
Every girlfriend out there has one of her boyfriend's friends who she despises because he's trying to red pill him.
I guess that's me.
Yeah.
Why is it gonna be like that?
Yeah. He's like, you need to stay away from Jerry. He's trying to show you the truth. I'm trying to blind you with my Nyatny.
But to give her credit though, this is the funny thing. She was the one that told me, hey Jerry, don't stay in Philly, man. Philly's not your spot. Go and fucking build a career for yourself. So in a way, she was very helpful. But again, it's like that was to me, right? And in a way, maybe it was she in her mind. If I get Jerry to LA, I'll have him all to myself in Philly. You see, maybe that was her secret goal.
They always got a plan, man. They're always conniving. They're always out there. Yeah, they're lurking. So the first thing we kind of talked about is I know you've been doing some reviews on the dating coaches and the nice guy reviews and such. Or why nice guys fail and the different dating coach advice and things like that. The reception's been pretty good. Is that the case? Has it been positive?
Yeah, it's been very positive, and I think 99% or 90% of the people commenting are pretty red pilled, and then there's maybe 10% that are all over the place. But it's still pretty cool to see just how everyone thinks nowadays. At least the people that watch the channel or stumbled on the channel somehow. So yeah, the reviews have been pretty good, and it's inspired me to keep going. The more you go down this rabbit hole of dating coaches, the more there's a guy named Matt Hussey. He's a good-looking British or Australian guy that only teaches women. And my friend Jake joked, he doesn't teach women. He just uses dating coaching to bring them to him, and then he fucks all of them. So I'll definitely review Matt Hussey. I found a really interesting lady yesterday. She actually explained assholes the best out of any dating coach, but I saved her and watched later, but I forgot what her name was. But she like applied behavioral psychology to, and I was like, damn, she's either studied it or someone's explained it to her, but it was really good. So there's just so much that I can still explain. You know, Kezia Noble. Oh, yeah, I'm Kezia Noble. She's like this super ultra fake sexy female dating coach. It's so weird. Like
trying to be seductive.
Yeah, it's just like a seductive fake dating coach. And I'm gonna review a video of her talking about Frank Sinatra. She's like, yeah, Frank Sinatra, you know, you didn't know if women who fucked him didn't know if they should fuck him or baby him. It was really funny just describing why Frank Sinatra appealed to women. And I'm thinking to myself, so women just so that's what you want, huh? So yeah, there's a lot of funny stuff to come. And the other thing you've seen from my channel is I'm Chinese. I could read Chinese, so I've been bringing a lot of Chinese dating coaches, their writings, their videos to the public. So it's really funny that dating coaches in China, some of their advice is going to be a little different just because Chinese culture is different. So actually tonight there's going to be a video going up. I found it's hilarious. He's a Chinese male dating coach, and he looks like shit, but you know, he seems pretty confident. He has like a very kawaii Asian wing woman next to him, but his advice is really weird, and so that'll be funny. And I'll keep finding stuff like this. The master of Chinese PUA apparently is a guy named Chen Zhen. So Chen Zhen, in Chinese history, there was a very famous kung fu master named Huo Yuanjia, and he was so powerful apparently that the Japanese poisoned him. So Chen Zhen was Huo Yuanjia's #1 student, and he went into hiding after he like killed a pretty famous Japanese kung fu master or something like that. So our Chinese pickup artist, to channel this like chi from the ancients, calls himself Chen Zhen. So it's really, really freaking funny. So I'll review some Chen Zhen PUA stuff because this dating coach is so epically hilarious. He takes half his inspiration from Korean dramas. The men in Korean dramas are these like unrealistic, not even alpha, but just like they attract a certain type of Chinese woman or a certain type of Asian woman. So he's trying to teach Chinese men how to channel these like Korean drama type of men behaviors. And it's really funny. So I'm going to review some of that.
So for a Chinese dating coach, what like is the advice that a Chinese dating coach would offer a PUA, you know, a Chinese PUA guy? Would he offer the same advice that, let's say, like an American? Like, are there similar things that are being shared?
I think a lot of the core tenets are pretty similar. You know, don't give a fuck what people think. It's just much harder in China when there's like 1.5 billion people who basically think the same. So it's but it's like, don't give a fuck what people think. Dress nicer. Hey, be more calm and collected. You know, there's a tendency in China, not just China. I've heard this is the Philippines too, but it's almost like kind of cute when a guy's so head over heels over a girl and he can't think about anything else, which in America is like, ooh, you know, women are like,
it's like disgusting. Yeah.
But in Asian culture, that still sometimes appeals. So a lot of Chinese dating coaches, a lot of Chinese people, it's like, no, don't bring any of that to the table.
Yeah. Cause I guess the core, I'd assume the core tenets would be the same, you know, but it's just, you know, women want what women want. It's like a female nature thing. But do they want the same things in China? Like, are they looking? Is it just hypergamy for the sake of, you know, economics first, or does your physical appearance have as much to do about, you know, how pergamous she's going to be in China?
My gut feeling is it's probably half of it's like a checklist. It's like, okay, we just get married. But the other half is like very hypergamous and very blatantly hypergamous. It's like, oh, okay, does he have a house? Does he have a car? Does he have an apartment? Like every guy, right, in China that wants to be serious about marriage, which I think most of them are, before they get married, they're like, okay, I gotta buy a condo in the city. And
Yeah.
it's like, God damn it, man. In a way, it's good, right? If you have a family, you should have a place where you're permanent. But then when you think about it from the other angle, oh fuck, you just dumped like 400,000, RMB down the drain
Gone.
just for the sake of wanting to get married. It's like,
Gone.
what?
Well,
Yeah.
it seems like basically it's even more of a checklist oriented life, because I mean, it goes along with that idea of groupthink, having 1.5 billion people thinking the same thing. It's like, well, of course I'm going to follow the so-called checklist. And like, she's going to look for that checklist too. She's going to be carrying around that clipboard being like, okay, now he does have that condo. Okay, now he's eligible. All right, now I can put myself out there for him, like even more so than the West.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's if it works in China, it works in China, but of course they have problems. I mean, I remember, this is so funny. At my previous place of employment, there was one guy, he was so just like obsessed with, okay, I'm married now, I gotta make my wife happy. And he just didn't do a good job he was a product manager. He didn't do a good job being a product manager. He had to resign. And so that kind of anxiety, it's like when it gets to that point, you're kind of like, is this the right type of mentality?
Well, that's the biggest thing that is one of the biggest hangups for me when I look at marriage. And if you're a guy that, okay, your career path or the self-actualization that you get from your career is pretty important to you. I was listening to Human and Stardust talk about this the other day. They were talking about how the married man in the workforce, he can't necessarily be as like intellectually honest because he can't really stand out at work as much. He can't really try to be as pushed to be an innovator or a creator or take risks to go higher up in his career because he's got more to lose. And it's like an extra layer of stress where it's not just like, I want this career if you're a single man because I enjoy doing it or I need the money for myself, but now it's like I'm gonna lose her too. I'm going to lose my job and her.
Yeah.
It's like, there's my job, there's my life, So, I mean, that for me, that at least in terms of the veracity of MGTOW is so important, especially, you and I both know, I mean, especially around our age, it's like the fragility of things and how often we change jobs, well about that. I mean, you're doing that, and right now it's going to be a constant almost.
Yeah. Here's a very interesting facet about Chinese culture that I've learned from this working at this company is that in China, they actually like people who are, so China has the 2-child rule now. It used to be 1 child, now it's 2-child. So you have 2 children and then you can't have any more or else you get fined or whatever. But they like people, especially they like to hire women who've had their 2 children already. Because then they know, okay, she's not going to go on maternity leave. We can just work her to death, and she has 2 kids to obligate her to stay and have to pay for all that. So hey, let's hire women who are back in the job force after having 2 kids. So it's actually easier in a way if you just have 2 kids and then go and work, and they'll work you to death, and you'll feel like shit, but at least you'll be stable. It's like interesting, right? Because in America, part of the thing about the wage gap is women have to go have kids. So,
right.
That's viewed by that. But in America, if you're going to go have kids and there's no limit to kids, then there's almost less incentive for some employers to hire women because it's like, okay, she's going to work hard, but what if she has kids for 2 years? Then all this training, all this investment there's no ROI.
Well, and it's interesting that that's the case there, whereas here, the mailman that's married is the one that's more likely, I feel like, to be hired, especially if it's like, it's a long-term investment in this position. Like this is a higher up person. It'll look bad if he's fired. It'll look bad if he'll leave. It's like, all right, we need to make sure we can get like 8 years out of him at least. So it's like, okay, he's married. Do you have a house in the area? Yeah, he has a house in the area. Do your kids go to the school in the area? Okay, good. All right, we can hire him. He's like basically forced to stay here. Whereas like the guy with the same credentials, but he's not married and he's single, and he's also like, yeah, I like to go here. I have a friend that lives in this area. I might travel. They're like, oh, that's a red flag. We're not going to hire you. So it's like it works for men in that regard too. But it's just it's the preferential treatment and the scariness of the single man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, he could do whatever. We're scared of him. Oh my God.
Yeah, he's not controlled by a woman. And I mean, the fact that female bosses is it's more common in every field now. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know for you if the majority of your supervisors have been females or males, but I know for me so far, it's probably split.
Yeah. Split. I'd say 50-50.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably split. So speaking about jobs, I guess we could continue off that tangent. What's your do you have what's your idea of the next year?
I think for now, I'll just continue building my brands for a little bit,
Yeah.
and then we'll see where it goes. Because I really thought about this. I said, hey, I really don't want to work for a Chinese company again.
Yeah.
Just because of cultural reasons. Chinese people, if you have so many people in your country, you don't value individualism. Your country's neo-Confucian and it had communism, right? So you have all those cultural elements, and just numerically, there's so many of you. You're all replaceable. You're all disposable. It's not just women; men are all disposable in China.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you don't want to be working for a Chinese company because that's the mentality they have. And the problem with me is that I value efficiency. So when I work at a Chinese company, I want to speak Chinese to them because that's the only way I can communicate with them. I could try to just speak English and then just we'll get things done in 2 months instead of 2 days.
Yeah.
But then when I speak Chinese to them, this is why I talk so much about language, right? Language influences thought. So when I speak Chinese to my Chinese coworkers, they think of me as Chinese, so they think they can get away with the same bullshit that Chinese people do to each other.
Fair point. Yeah.
So I know if I ever work at a Chinese company again, it's the same inevitable problem. I can't get myself to just speak English because I can speak Chinese perfectly. So I want to do it for the sake of efficiency. And so they're always going to see me. They're like, oh yeah, he's an American guy, but he's Chinese enough. Hey, I'm sure, hey, if we want to pull some Chinese bullshit on him, he won't complain as much. So, but when I was at my company, I trolled a lot, man. I used so much I was very American at my company, but ultimately it didn't help because when it was time to do bullshit, they still, hey, he's the first person to do some Chinese bullshit on. So, and I don't take kindly to that. So that's one of the reasons I left. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why I left my company, but
yeah,
I just, I call it, I joke that in China back in the 90s and probably early 2000s, before English education was really good, a lot of people, to supplement their English education, they would go to a corner somewhere in a city square, and there'd be like 100, 200, 300 Chinese people just practicing their English for the night. So we called it the Yingyu the English corner. So I always joke that working at my Chinese company, it's almost like the fucking English corner again. It's like 200 fucking people who don't know how to speak fucking English correctly. And when I was in China, because I already spent a few years in Chicago, so my English was perfect. So I'm the little kid there speaking to everyone, and everyone's trying to talk to me because they want to practice their English with me. So in a fucking weird way, it's like PTSD from that again. It's like now I'm older, it's the fucking English corner again. Instead of live in person, it's on Google Hangouts with them all the time.
Right. So when you went into working, was this the first Chinese company that you'd work for? Essentially? Yeah.
Officially, this was the first Chinese company I worked for. I mean, I've worked with Chinese people in the past, but this was the first Chinese company where I was employed and everything, and all the salary and everything. So, yeah, officially.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I mean, I'm kind of at a similar crossroads, and I know we've talked about that. My contract at work. It'll be up in May, and I'll be finishing my degree, and it's really hectic right now, so I haven't really looked ahead very far. But when people ask me about what I'm gonna do, and we both of us, coming from the same perspective, like the quote unquote, like the MGTOW perspective, where it's like, you're not like trying to be the American dream slave, where when people ask you, I feel like that, what do you want to do? What's your next step? What job are you trying to get? It's always like with the assumption that you're getting that job or you're working because you need to get yourself set up to quote be a man or whatever and get that family and get those kids. And like, yeah, if that is part of the goal, then it makes sense. Like you pretty much have to always have your eyes set on that career, but for us, it's like, I mean, you're obviously more public, connecting, your face and your name to your MGTOW channel. But for me, it's like, at 24, I don't really say like, well, yeah, I'm doing this channel and I'm trying to work on my brand here. And like, it takes like 40 to 50 hours a week just to do that. And it's like, it's like, well, what are you doing with your time then? And it's like, I can't even say what I'm doing with my time necessarily. So they think you're just some drifting bum. And it's like, hey, whatever. I mean, if that's what they think, they likely don't really have any interest in who I am, truly. But it's always a weird position to be in, because I'm thinking about like the next year of my life. And sure, I care about like my career goals and some interest in that level, but I'm like you, I have so many other varying interests and so many other things that I want to do with my time. And I value, the freedom that you have and the intellectual freedom that, so many people don't, and they just don't understand when you just want to like, you want to get up and go and do something else.
Yeah, no, it's you, until you experience it, you don't understand why it's amazing. Like I hosted a lot of parties at my place with my coworkers, and they would be like, Jerry, man, why don't you get married? Why don't you like fill this place up with stuff? Why don't you do all that? And I'm like, because then I wouldn't have money in the bank. And it's like, it's even just me quitting the job because I got fed up.
Yeah.
Could I have done that if I was in a relationship or if I had something more stable? It's just, there's something beautiful about this. And right. I think this is what's going to attract more and more men to, they might not identify as MGTOW. They might not do everything, but they might stay single a little longer. Mm-hmm. And it's not like dating for the sake of marriage and delaying marriage, like that article I broke down, that study, but it's like really staying single and not even looking for a while.
Right. And that's it too. You see that freedom go. And when you are ready to get a job, so to speak, I feel like you're first entering into that job now as a single guy, and you view the job so much differently than the married man does, or the man that is pursuing that relationship, because I feel like the more that you are able to view something as impermanent, such as a place of employment, the better you can actually do, because you do remove an element of fear. You do remove an element of, I need to make sure that this is clean and tidy, and every day I do what I need to do because I'm afraid of losing something, so it actually can end up benefiting your skill development in some ways too, and benefiting your resume, in a way too. But it is a beautiful thing to look at your job and say, I'm ultimately in control, because I feel like, our past generation, and I know my dad's generation, it's kind of the final generation for that. He's retiring in May, and he's going to be at the same job for 42 years. He's the longest standing employee there, and it's the same exact job almost. He just got bumped up to a supervisor, and it's just like, that's gone. I mean, that's pretty much that is pretty much eroded. And unless you're maybe working in a bureaucratic or governmental job, or you're a teacher, at like primary or secondary education level. But it is a beautiful thing, and that is one of the simplest reasons. And I think one of the things we really agree with when we look at MGTOW is that very reason, the career element and the intellectual honesty and the freedom for that. It's awesome.
Yeah, agreed.
It's so basic. And that's one of the things that drew me to your channel in the first place. Yeah.
So. Yeah. And the thing isn't, I was telling Sunrise this for those of you watching, but I still had to, what's the American expression for this? I started to dial it back a little bit.
Yeah.
I started to dial it back at work, inevitably. But part of the stuff I've been doing now is just I've been trolling a little more, and it's been fun.
Yeah.
I'm a very troll person. I'm a very, very troll person. I'm a very troll person. So I've been trolling more, and this is something I didn't realize until I left. I've been at the company for a year and a half, and then it's like, wow, there's certain things that I used to not do because we're all human. We all to some degree fear judgment. The only people who don't fear
Mhm.
judgment are psychopaths, and we don't want to be
That's a good
psychopaths
point. Yeah.
or Ashby people. But those people, they have their own. It's not like they choose to be that way, but it's like, so now I have all these other things I'm trying to do and all these other ideas I'm trying on my channel, and I don't care anymore because
Mhm.
my coworkers did watch my channel. And
Interesting.
now they still watch my channel, but I don't give a fuck anymore. Like, you think
Yeah.
I recorded that crying video when I was there at my company? I was like, I didn't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's a place I think that everybody really wants to be. And I think there are a lot of times, whether it's an intermittent thought for a guy that's maybe married or in a relationship he doesn't want to be in, he sees that kind of that Clint Eastwood High Plains Drifter type dude that's just out there. And he's like, man, if only, I wish I could do that. Or I wish I could just lay it all on the line, and that's the thing. Obviously, I know where you're coming from for being a troll. It's not like you're being some knuckle dragon Reddit troll all the time. Like you're troll in my eyes, and how you view it is like honesty.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, and that's the thing. The word I would, people are afraid of honesty today, and if you're honest, then you're making a closed-minded judgment, which is another thing. And it's like, well, I feel like not being able to be honest with yourself, like, you have mentioned in your videos, that's like a huge loss. And I feel like for me, a lot of times I'm like, okay, maybe when I'm 30, things will be a little bit more stable. 35, 40, they'll be a little bit more stable. And it's like, I think I'm going to reach this continual progression towards the ability to be like completely intellectually honest and quote unquote be a troll, but it's like, you kind of really have to decide to do it right now, because that fear of judgment really never changes unless you find value in, it's within, or you just, you decide to pursue that,
Yeah.
because it's not going to just bestow yourself upon you. Yeah.
Exactly. And I love how you define troll, because for me, part of the truth in life is that it's funny. A lot
Yeah.
of that's why stand-up comedians like Louis C.K. before the Me Too thing, like that's why
Right.
people love him so much. Bill Burr, I guess, is the new Louis C.K., but they just found moments in life that everyone could relate to that just were funny, right? And that's where that troll comes from. It's you can try to be funny, but it's like a lot of things in life are just funny. You don't need to be more funny about it. You just break it down and it's funny.
Right. Well, and that's why comedy, like, I feel like the amazing thing is that people say the reason why comedy is hilarious and stand-up comedy is hilarious is simply because of that. Sometimes it's not even like necessarily creative. I guess putting some ideas is, but it's just like it's one of the spaces where you can actually be completely honest. And it's one of the few protected spaces for that. And you see like a guy like Jim Jeffries, who is like he's like talking about his pregnant wife, and he's completely lambasting her and like how irascible she is and everything. And it's like, 99% of the other spheres of communication in the world at that moment, that would not be allowed. And he'd be sent away, but he's up there and stand up and everybody's laughing about it because they're letting their guard down. It's like, what does that say about culture and society? It's really something that's scary.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we literally have to have some comedy and a platform to let our guard down.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you do. And I think that's part of why MGTOW here on YouTube is taking off, because it's like, the margins that we can operate on are like, you're like, okay, the margins are wide enough for both your feet. And then now you can just use one foot to stand in that margin. But then like it's like just getting pushed further and further. Now you're on a tiptoe, and it's like, and that's one of the thing I was going to talk about too, is just again, it was the same talk that I was listening to with Stardust and Human, and they were talking about the MGTOW content producers, and they were talking about this idea that, the spaces, the platforms for guys to talk about red pill things and MGTOW or, related topics, it's like kind of a migrant process. It's like, Minds is emerging, and then who knows, Minds could blow up, and then that's a place where it's, that gets censored essentially on minds.com. And then you try to go to another place and it's like, where does it really end? And
Yeah.
I think really the only place where it has to end is, I mean, it's kind of hard to censor face-to-face conversation or just personal conversation, and that's where it is. But if people are obviously trying to monetize things or start a business that way or reach mass number of people, that's not really as feasible, obviously, that way.
Yeah, and that's why I've been. For those of you who don't know, I mean, a lot of you have heard my talks with Big John, but in LA, I organize a weekly meetup with just people who want to talk, like men who just want to talk about issues. So we have 8 people in that group, and a lot of them don't want me giving details about them for obvious reasons. But every week we get together and we just talk about stuff. We talk about, we hang out. Sometimes we don't even talk about anything related to social issues, but sometimes we do. And it's just a good place for males, just, in the movie The Room, male bonding. So, but it's like, it's needed, right? And that's, if there's one thing I did in LA that I feel really proud of, it is this. It's that, hey, I got a group of guys together, a group of guys who maybe didn't really have a place to express their views. And we every week, not this week, unfortunately, I've been so busy, but every weekend we just get together, we play pool, we play some arcade games, and we just sit there, we talk, we get some pho, we get some ramen, we talk about stuff. And, we have people of all ages. We have people of different ethnicities. It's really cool. And the face-to-face thing, I want to encourage anyone who watches. And this wasn't actually even my idea. Before Big John even gave this idea to me, one of my subscribers actually sent me a picture of them in London. There was 4 of them, and apparently every month they get drinks together. Nice. And so this was in 2016 or 2017 that this guy sent it to me. And so, we can all do this. The more little enclaves we have, the more, like you said, they're never going to be able to shut down people, at least in the West. I don't think it's ever going to get to that point.
At least not in our lifetime, I don't think.
Yeah, not in our lifetime. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, at least not in our lifetime, hopefully. But yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's just like, it's not really asking for a lot. If you think about it, it's like women or gynocentric powers that be, we just like, can you just give us a minute? We just want to talk, we just need to mind vomit some things out and talk about what's going on. Like, guys, at the end of our day, like, is that too much to talk? It's not even like it's not even a huge economic expenditure. We can get some coffee. We can get a couple beers. We can get something to eat. It's like, it's not even like we're doing something detrimental to the economy or detrimental to people's health. We're just letting things out because, and I think I end up talking about this like with so many different people where it's something that existed in cultures throughout history. We're going all the way back to ancient Greece and going all the way back to, men just gathering and discussing ideas then and writing down ideas. And, I mean, it's male nature, and and you remove something that is of male nature and we naturally drift towards, then you lose a part of your identity.
Yeah. And remember Roosh V? Remember when Roosh V got in trouble in 2016? He was basically trying to do this, right? He was trying to just get men, but he went about it differently. And I think that was the problem. I mean, Roosh V there's a stigma around Roosh V. Right. Like he's like sex tourism in Ukraine and all this, and he's living in his mom's house and everything. So like, there's all this like,
and he follows one person on Twitter. Yeah,
exactly. He has all these image problems, these branding problems. So that's why it didn't work in 2016. And actually, the first video I ever made on my channel was about Roosh V. And then I just basically, because he's a pickup artist, I was like, oh, this is my experience with pickup artists, blah, 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 blah. But like, his idea was sound. It was just executed wrong. So I think on a more small, decentralized scale, we can still do this. There's many, many people. You'd be surprised. I feel every major city has people who just want to get together and think. It doesn't have to be people who are red pill or manosphere. People just want to get together and think.
Yeah, I mean, having that thinking outlet. And I find that, I talked about this the other day. There's this gas station nearby where I live, and I just, I'll take a break from work and I'll just go down there and walk and get some coffee. And like probably every night at like 10 or 11, there's just like a group of 8 guys, and I think they're probably they're not native. They might have been immigrants, but they're speaking some, I think, Eastern European language, or they're from Russia or whatever it is, and they're just gathered there, just like kicking back and looking like just completely unwinding mentally, and like finally able to process life, and they get so much satisfaction from it. And the thing about guys is that, and men, like really we're so content with simple things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Simple things go so far.
Yeah, simple things go so far. Just one of the things, my Russian friend that I always troll on my channel, so I used to work at Fox 29, and after I got off work, I would get off work. I would work the evening shift, so I would go from 3 p.m. or 2 p.m. to 11 or to 11:30. And so I get off work, and it'd be really late. And sometimes I don't want to go out to a bar. I'm dealing with work, so I just go and we just chill. We just chill, and just like sometimes we chill and watch TV, or we just chill and like be on our laptops. Just I'd be YouTubing, he'd be doing his own trolling stuff,
Right.
and like that. Sometimes that's all men need, and like a lot of times, unless you have a roommate, which our current financial situation, a lot of men do have roommates. But if you don't have a roommate, or you don't have roommates you get along with, a lot of men, if they're working men, which that's my audience, I think a lot of your audience is a little younger, but if they're working men, they literally like have no guys they can just like sit back and relax with. A lot of friendships now are more conditional. So
yeah, that too. Well, and that's the thing. These men, they go to work and they work for women, and then they come home and they work for another woman. It's like it's like, and at the end of the day, they have like 30 minutes to like, I don't know what they do. Watch something, watch Sports Center, or like scroll through their phone and listen to a MGTOW video. I don't know. It's like that's how I feel about it. And I mean, like likening back to when I was in college and during my baseball years, and I was dating at the time, and I would spend the majority of my time either at work or and as a journalist, I'm working with a lot of women. There's so many women in the college setting that are in journalism. Yeah, I'm sure you know about that. I mean, you talked about that extensively, but so I do that, and then I go hang out with my girlfriend all day. And I remember like leaving each weekend in the spring for trips, or we'd have the longer trips during spring training, and just like the total change in my mentality, and the ability to like finally process everything with guys that we're just hanging around in the hotel room, and I'm just like kicking it, working on my laptop, and the thing about men and how we engage too, when we're together for like 2 hours and we're just around TV or around our laptops, is like we don't demand persistent engagement. It's like we just go silent for 45 minutes, then we talk for 15 minutes, then we go silent for 45 minutes. It's like there's nothing demanded. It is more platonic. Obviously, I would agree with you that a lot more friendships now are indeed they demand something in return, which I don't think that's kind of dangerous at times, but so but yeah, I mean, it was like an oasis for me, during those years. Yeah.
And yeah, try to hang out and not talk for 40 minutes or 50 minutes with females, or women. I don't think it's possible. I mean, the average woman speaks, I think, 2 times more like words than males, right? So this would be a funny experiment. Just like sit in a room for like an hour with a female, and then see who play like the quiet game, but like don't tell her you're playing the quiet game.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
She'd go crazy.
Yeah.
Why aren't you being the court jester? Why aren't you entertaining me? It's like you're talking about things that require me to think. So I got Oslo MGTOW. Do you know Oslo?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So he sent me a question. He's wanted me to bring it up to you. Apparently he'd be wanting to pitch this for you to a while. So he said, he wants to make you to make a video, about going monk. But here's the punchline: you have to do it while wearing an orange monk robe with a shaved head. So
okay. Like he means what is it, like Shaolin monk, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll have to
Garagos Shaolin monk.
I'll have like after you make good fight, what did thou? You make good fight. Have you watched Jackie Chan Adventures, by the way?
I've only seen a little bit.
The uncle, the uncle. He'd always. It's a Cantonese expression, so I'm not saying it right, but it's you mo gui guai wai li tao, which means yao mo gui guai wai li tao. That's the Mandarin way of saying it. It means well, all the spirits, bad demons go away. But like in middle school, a lot of Jackie Chan Adventures fans would say that to me, and since I never watched that show, I like try to fight them because I thought they were making fun of me. But it was that fucking Jackie Chan Adventure show, the uncle. Oh, drive out all the spirits. You might go now. You might go. So it's really funny. Whenever I think of monks, I think of Jackie Chan's little uncle in Jackie Chan Adventures.
So I think that's the archetype that Oslo wants you to bring out for the.
Okay, that'd be interesting next time. So I've been using this really funny comb. It's like a laser comb to mess with my hair. But if I decide to give up on it after, let's say, 30 weeks or 40 weeks, I might just shave my hair again. It's been cool to like you feel like you're taking care of your hair again. So I'm kind of feeling my hair a little bit. But for Oslo MGTOW, if next time I go monk, I'll try to find a way to get some Shaolin robes and then. For my fight commentary channel too, I'm like, whoa, you know, funny stuff.
I'm going monk.
Yeah, I'm going monk.
I'm going monk mode.
Get a staff. Do some moves on that.
That would be a nice touch. Get some props going in there.
Yeah. Exactly. And then, oh man, I wish I could have those. There's those really cool hook swords that can cut in 3 different ways. I don't know if I could buy those anywhere. Those are some of the coolest weapons from ancient China. So I don't know if you've ever seen those hook swords. I'll send you a picture. But it had a curve, right? So the curve could curve around weapons and get people in the back. Where people held a long weapon, you can get the weapon out of them. And then it had like a more knifey area here to stab. And then there was like a curved blade here, right next to the handles, so you could hit people this way. And then because there's a curved blade, you could combine the 2 blades, so then it became like a long spear, and then you could swing it using a torque motion, and then the little blades here would cut people. So it's like you could use it in so many elegant ways to kill people. It
seems like a very Eastern weapon.
Yeah,
that's like like I feel like the more I didn't take much like war history, but I don't know if they would talk about it, where it seems like the Western weapon is just kind of more very, very direct brute force, just like mace, long King Arthur-esque sword, so
yeah. I will send you this in the little message, so you can, if you want to show this to, like, screenshot this to the viewer so they know what I'm talking about. But it's exactly like you said. A lot of Chinese weapons require a lot of skill, whereas a lot of Western weapons, it's like it gets the job done, which there's nothing wrong with it. Hey, if you get the job done, you don't need as much training. Hey, that's more efficient, right? It's all about efficiency.
Right. Yeah. I mean, did you take like AP World History and everything in high school and like all those classes? I think I remember you saying that you did. But I know for me, like that there was a time where obviously we've had many Age of Empires conversations, but it's like that is something that I liked about your channel. When I first found you would wear like chainmail. I think you were wearing chainmail in a couple. I'm like, what is going on here? This is hilarious. But yeah, we need to I get some. That brings up another thing. I was in the same conversation that I was listening to the other day with Stardust. He was talking about how our current generation, you go on college campuses today, and it's so typified by the bro. Like, bro, I seriously have to read this for like class. Are you kidding me? This is so hard. And then typical sorority girl, she's in there with the PSL and the iPhone 6, and she couldn't even point on a map where she couldn't find Italy, for example, or something. I guarantee it. And it's just like people are completely devoid of knowing basic tenets of history that have caused us to be where we are today. And it's just that really, really, like, that is something that really frustrates me. Yeah.
Like, oh my God, is China the same as Japan? I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, that too. Yeah,
Oh my,
like they don't. There's no even awareness of the differences between like Korea and Japan and China, and the fact that there are like to those to people. I know the conflict between if you're Korean and you get mistaken for being Chinese or something, how offended you'd be, or vice versa. Like how big of a deal that is. And that means nothing to American culture. But I feel like part of it is because we've 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 gotten rid of the value of culture in the United States for like the sake of just diversify, and it's like any bit of ounce of nationalism today, in a sense, or pride for an individual culture or language is like viewed as globalistic and viewed as like misogynistic and viewed as threatening and domineering and everything, and it just
yeah.
strips people of culture.
And you can compare it to China. China basically runs completely on nationalism, and it seems to be doing pretty well for the government. So I don't get why American society, nationalism is really powerful. It's dangerous too. But hey, what's to say you can't have like a American club? Like, there's Asian American club, there's like Indian American club, Black Students Union. Why can't you have like a white student union or something like that?
Yeah.
I would join the club and like troll, but like I know a lot of people would actually gain a lot of like white Americans would gain a lot from understanding, hey, this is where we came from. We once were factory workers, or in the South, they once were slave masters. But like, you have to learn and like learn from that history, right? Or else you just kind of forget it and you repeat the same things.
Yeah, no, you do. And well, I think part of it is there's really no incentive in people's eyes, to know those things. It's like it's not incentivized in any way. It's not like, oh, this doesn't make me any more popular in my sorority. Like why should I know this? Or like Brad's like, man, I'm trying to make gains at the gym. All this, all this. It's like I don't have time. I don't have time. I'm trying. I got to get 10 hours of sleep every night to allow my muscles to recover. It's the only time I can't spend time reading about this. It's like, and as a result, there's no accountability for it, and it's just gonna continually get that way. And part of it, I feel like, is because our phones are their immediate resource constantly. So it's like, I don't need to store this in my mind. I can just have it on my phone. But like the difference is having a resource available to learn about it for the first time is different than having it in your mind and it affecting the way you think, because it has to exist in your mind for a while, for, it has to dwell there. It has to, it has to become part of you. It has to really sink in for you to make connections and see patterns throughout history that help you make decisions going forward.
Exactly. If all you do is you access it, but you don't have it in your mind, how can you process it if it's not in your mind? And you make such a great point, which I never thought about, but it's so true. If I don't need to memorize how to do this equation anymore because I got the phone. I don't need to memorize this physics principle anymore because I got the phone. I got the formula that my computer, my calculator can type in. So then it's like, it's not in your mind anymore. You don't know how it's derived. You don't know anything. So how do you then move on and derive new things for it? This is the same with knowledge, with any kind of knowledge. It's such a brilliant point. So don't just trust this. Like, have it deep in your brains, man. Like, do the old thing and memorize stuff.
Right. Well, and that used to be how it was. Memorization was now now memorization has a different purpose, where memorization is used for the A or is used for the piece of paper, whereas memorization was value. I mean, I'm thinking of like in biblical terms now, like if a guy wanted to be a rabbi, he had to memorize the Torah, or like that was something you had to memorize. Like, and imagine that today. People don't even read the coursework. People don't even read the coursework. It's not even about memorizing the coursework. I'm not saying you have to memorize things, but people won't even read the basic coursework, let alone look and read something on their own time. And I think you talked about this with I was listening to your conversation with the guy that you went to Penn with, and the other like couple weeks ago, and you're talking about the library and how I'm trying to remember exactly what you said, but it's just like I don't know if you like used the library very much or went to the library very much because like you would go there when you had a purpose to go there per se, but it's like there's so much knowledge there, there's so much information that I can consume. I'm gonna choose not to go there because I don't really know what to do with that information towards the end.
Yeah.
And I think that is a problem. I think there's a little bit of a paradox of choice now with the internet in a sense.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And even with that library at Penn, there's a paradox of choice. There's more books there than anyone could read in their lifetime. So it's like, what do you do? Why even try?
No, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, Jordan Peterson brought up a good point about this. In one of his talks, he talks about the protected nature of having your identity defined within this 4-year period of going to college societally, where it's like you're never really going to be in that position again theoretically in your life where it's like I say I'm a student. Somebody asks me what I'm doing, I say I'm a student, and people don't really question you. They're like, oh yeah, you're a student, you're doing what you should do, good. And it's like, lo and behold, you could be playing Call of Duty 10 hours a day, nobody knows. It's like, but the fact that you're a student at the time, it almost like puts a pause on the rest of the world. I'm not saying you shouldn't be getting internships and jobs and doing other things, but it kind of puts this like, it's like a 4-year vacuum where like if you wanted to literally read everything that Nietzsche ever wrote, you could do it. And like, nobody's like, it's like, take advantage of that window in a sense. Jordan Peterson was talking about that, where like, it's almost frittered away. Yeah. And I know for me, I didn't completely take advantage of it because it was always like a day to day. It was like life's moving day to day. Like I don't have time. I felt like I don't really have time to do that in addition to my coursework, and probably didn't, but for some people they might,
Yeah. And this is a topic that we need to spend a lot of time thinking about, because this is not just a failure of people. This is a failure of colleges, institutions. Why do people not have time or not have the interest to go and seek knowledge on their own? Is it because the courses suck? Is it because the professors suck? Is it because the students suck? Like, because of our higher education bubble, a lot of these people that shouldn't be in college are in college. Like, what is it? But this is, I'm so glad you brought up this point, but I didn't take advantage of college, I thought, as much as I should have. And maybe it was just me. It was just my maturity level. But I'm not going to completely blame myself. Penn had its problems. They didn't give any mentorship to any student. It's like, you'd think of elite Ivy League institution would, but they just didn't give a fuck. And it's probably because most of the people in my class were like the top of the top of the top of their class from all over the world. So it's like, maybe some of them were just mentally, emotionally, or maybe intellectually just very ahead. So they didn't need the guidance. But sure, people like me, I'm a smart guy, I hope, but I need the guidance. I'm only, when I went to bed, I was only 17 or 18. Like I'm not a fucking adult at that point, right? And this is the thing about life, is that the Koreans, we're talking about Korea, going back to Korea again, the Korean guys had an advantage at Penn because all of them went through military service. So they were treated like crap, but they developed some discipline, and they were 2 years older as freshmen than all of their peers. So of course, all the Korean guys did very well at Penn because, they were 2 years older. Their minds were more mature. They could handle stress and everything better. And the Singaporeans too. All those Singaporeans, they talk like this. They talk very fast. So the Singaporean guys, they just had so much. And the other thing is, a lot of the international students, I don't know if it's the case at your school, but a lot of the international students from Asia, they basically learn half the stuff. If they were doing STEM, they learn half the stuff that you would learn freshman year at American colleges anyways. So it's like freshman year, they were just getting A's because they already studied all that stuff. So that's such bullshit. But again, if you can get ahead, you can get ahead. And this is more an indictment of the American education system, that all these Asians and these Africans, these Europeans, whatever, are just ahead STEM-wise when they come here. And it's a breeze for them freshman year of college.
Well, yeah, and here in the States, it's everybody's living the High School Musical dream in high school. You know, it's like I'm living the High School Musical dream over here chasing Zac Efron, and the guys are like, "Yeah, I'm playing on the gridiron every Friday night." You know, it's like, and that's like the extent of it a lot of the time. So it's
Yeah.
like nobody's really thinking about improving. They're over there watching PewDiePie every night on YouTube, and it's about all they're doing. You know, it's like no offense to PewDiePie, but I'm just saying like it kind of is a big deal whether or not you're using your time wisely, even in high school, because come college, you don't want to just be, in the stream going. You want to be, or like in the herd, in the pack. You want to be able to be ahead. You want to be able to be ahead because if you're able to do that, I mean, you position yourself and professors see it. People that can leverage you in a positive way will be able to see that, and you're going to be able to take advantage of it. And that's the thing. I mean, college, I was talking about this to somebody the other day. College isn't even, it is very much a waste a lot of the time, but it is something, it is something when you're a part of it, you can leverage you can use to leverage and springboard. Like there are people there that, I mean, I'm in firm belief of this, and I know in MGTOW sometimes it's criticized, but in terms of employment opportunities, I got like 4 of my employment opportunities straight from people I knew at school, not necessarily professors, but people I worked with. I mean, like they're there. It's not it should be something that is just like a utility. And the problem in the States is that college is obviously diluted in terms of inflation. Call it, the master's is the new bachelor's now, so to speak, and everybody has a degree that shouldn't have a degree a lot of the time. And the part of it is because college is a business. Now it has to survive that way, and colleges are suffering. And so if they don't keep pumping students and finding new ways to, oh, we're offering an associate's program now, or oh, we're offering a 2-2 program, or we're offering a the MBA program, accelerated MBA, or like all these other little trinkets to get people to come in just to keep their doors open. And they're doing that. And in a sense, it's diluting the education. They don't have enough professors. So they're bringing in adjuncts, and the adjuncts don't really care because, they're working 40 hours a week as it is. And it's just like a continual cycle.
Yeah. And to incentivize people, oh, let's build new dorms. Let's build new gyms. Not, oh, let's start new programs. Right. Let's fund our history department more. Let's fund our STEM outreach more. No, none of that.
Right. No,
University of Pennsylvania already had a really good gym. They built another gym under a new stadium that they reconstructed for the historical value. It's like, why do you need this gym that only athletes and jocks use because it takes 20 minutes just to run to the gym? Like that's the Penn mentality. Why don't you, I don't know, build more libraries in the dorms or something so people who are afraid to go to the library can have a smaller dorm. But again, what do I know about running a college, right? There's a reason why colleges are profitable.
Well, yeah, it goes back to curb appeal. And, I mean, working in college athletics too, I work with, and when I've worked with coaches and so forth, it's like they continually are in a competition against the newest billboard that this school put down. They're like, oh, this school just built this complex. We're screwed. There goes all my recruits. It's like, and that's what happens. I mean, because students, we operate in such a visual culture that, in the United States, it's so visual, it's so aesthetic oriented. And so where they put the money is they put the money in the residence halls, and then they put the money in the gym. They put the money in the fitness centers. They put the money maybe in just in general beautification of the campus. Not saying that's inherently bad, but that's not necessarily going to get you a job when you leave. I mean, you're only living there for 4 years, so it's like, hopefully, yeah. Right. But there's just a lot of issues, and there's going to be a lot of ways to circumvent it, I think, in the future. And I mean, that's part of the beauty of the modern day as well, is that, while you are going to be a bit behind in many areas if you don't have a college degree, even if you're in an area where you don't really even need a college degree, with the proliferation of even YouTube, we'll take YouTube for example, the opportunities there to build a brand like you and I are trying and make, you make some money inherently off the side. There's opportunities to bypass what the barriers that used to be there.
Yeah, exactly. And depending on the site, there are some okay online courses. They still won't ever replace actual instruction, but they're a good here's why I talk about this. I took programming. I took computer programming for 2 years in high school, and the education system was so bad. No one explained to us why we were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent 2 years just frustrated. I tried learning Visual Basic, then I learned Java, and I didn't know why, and I didn't know how to apply it. So I recently took this course on Lynda. Lynda's one of the greatest sites ever.
Yeah, I know Lynda. Mm-hmm.
And it's a big overview of what programming is, what it's trying to do. And then at the end, it breaks it down by languages. So I'm about a third the way through, but it's suddenly, because it's an overview, it's about the big picture. It helped me make sense of all the stuff I was doing for those 2 years that I thought were wasted in high school. And it's like, and then I'm thinking to myself, talking to people, I'm like, why? Why didn't we get this back in high school? You know, I took a course in high school called Discovery Programming. So I thought, hey, you're discovering programming. You're supposed to learn the big picture. But instead, we just delved into Visual Basic. And I was like, I get that Windows uses this stuff and, you know, Visual Basic, maybe it's cool, but why the fuck, you know, what am I doing with this? So, but with the online course, it gave me something that years of instruction didn't give. So there is so much potential with the online course thing. But the problem is they've done studies, psychology studies, that people just don't learn efficiently just from a screen, and then maybe they're typing some notes and they're doing exercises. There's something lost in that communication process.
Right. I mean, yeah, there are a number of empirical studies, just even talking about taking notes in class and on paper versus typing. Personally, I'm like it kind of like the minimalist mentality filters into even how I take notes. Like I have everything on Google Docs. So I'm just like, it's just on my laptop. It's just on my phone, you know? So it's like, you know, but you know, the retention aspect of it, I think part of it is to having that accountability factor of somebody in front of you, having to answer to them using, you know, verbally, not just, you know, maybe you have to Skype somebody occasionally when you take these online courses, but that accountability factor gives you a greater incentive to really retain all the information that you're trying to learn for the coursework. And the other thing is, you know, going off these online courses and these online options, I mean, you can obviously be anywhere at any time doing these things, and it gives you that flexibility career-wise if you're trying to work at the same time. But there are so many free course offerings. You know, just Stanford, I know, offers a lot of them, for example, you know, and there's this guy that I watch a lot. His name's Elliot Hulse, and he's kind of a fitness guy first, and he's actually, thinking back on it, he talks a lot about a lot of red pill things, and he has his own fitness business. He's an entrepreneur, and he started this thing called Non-Job Revolutions as well, or Non-Job Revolution. It's this like conference for entrepreneurs, and he would just talk about this all the time. I mean, he was kind of one of the big influencers for me in thinking about just the availability of information. And while information has become so available, at the same time, it does offer a sense of inflation in that sense, even in like information inflation. You know, people are at a more level playing field now, and what you see is, you know, you kind of have to be at the upper like 5% of society intellectually to actually make like a substantial monetary gain, you know, and especially at the bottom with so much of work being automated, you know. People, it's just scary, like that divide that's being created. But, you know, that's the nature of it. Yeah, Elliot Hulse, going back to him, another guy put a comment in the section. Yeah, if any of you guys haven't watched Elliot Hulse's stuff, he gives, I think Jerry was one of the first guys that I came across for MGTOW in 2016, but I was thinking, why did I stumble upon MGTOW? And Elliot Hulse, he just does these things called Yo Elliot, where he answers like a simple question in 5 minutes. And I think there were some in my recommendeds, MGTOW popped up, and that's when I came across it, you know. And this dude's married. He's not like a MGTOWer per se, but he is very red pilled, and it's really great insight, especially if you're into working out too and stuff like that. So check him out. Yeah. Are there any other guys you're watching right now, Jerry, that are relatively new on your list?
I will look at my list right now to see. Let me look at my subscription to see if there's any person that recently caught my eye. I have Replicant Fish here. Let's look at Replicant Fish. Interesting. Replicant Fish, I guess it was someone I stumbled on recently.
Is he
Um,
Australian or is he? I think, or is he British?
I have no idea. Honestly, I I cycle through a lot of these channels and I don't. Oh, look at that! I got John the Other on here. I
Okay.
didn't even realize I was subscribed to him. Blair White. I am
Oh
subscribed to
man.
Blair White. Oh, Blair White's funny. Did you see that conversation she had with the black conservative girl, whatever her name was, Candace? Blair White versus Candace. They had a big argument on who's that libertarian gay guy? Oh, fuck, the name escapes me. The guy that hosts the show. But they had Blair White and Candace had like a little argument on his show. It was pretty funny.
No, I haven't watched any of the Blair White stuff, but
And talking about Jordan Peterson, he and Ben Shapiro, I believe, appeared together on. I'm gonna find this right now. I'm gonna find this guy I'm talking about because his stuff is really cool. If you have the patience, which I don't, you can learn a lot from it. He doesn't do a show like the Joe Rogan Experience, so it doesn't fit my mind as much. But it's more like a actual interview process. Yeah, the Rubin Report. So Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro went on the Rubin Report together to talk about life. That was an epic one.
That combo right there. I've seen Jordan Peterson and Shapiro together, and man, it's just this whole proliferation of these thinkers and these types of kind of like-minded guys is, that in itself is enough of a message of where we're situated societally as anything, just their existence.
Yeah.
Not even necessarily the fact that we have to break down their words and and break down their things, because obviously there are things that Jordan Peterson says I disagree with. I mean, that's going to be the case. He talks about so many things. Of course, I'm going to disagree sometimes. And I know he called MGTOW. He kind of looked down upon MGTOW and said that they're running away from responsibility. They're it's like fear-based. It's pathetic weasels. He did go back and apologize for that. And I honestly, I mean, I'm not gonna disregard listening to anything else he talks about psychology wise, or he does all those biblical interpretations in his videos. It's like I'm not gonna just stop listening to him. So yeah, and same with Ben Shapiro. I mean, it's basically, it goes back to this idea of honesty. It's like people view them as like trolls. People will like almost equate Ben Shapiro like a troll because of the pursuit of honesty. Like troll has become, like if you're honest, then you're a threat.
Yeah.
But guys flock to their message because it is honest. Yeah. Because it's like the Fight Club quote, we've been raised by women. And so Jordan Peterson's out there teaching things that our fathers and our grandfathers, whoever, our uncles never told us.
Yeah, exactly.
But I haven't watched a ton of Jordan Peterson in the last couple of weeks. I know, like, one of the previous times we talked, I discussed that I was like binging his stuff. But
yeah, I think I'm the same with Jordan Peterson stuff, with Stefan Molyneux stuff, and with Joe Rogan stuff. It's like I binged them for a while. I mean, at work, it was really good to binge them because I just put it on and listen while I did my work. But now, because I'm so busy doing my own stuff now, it's a little hard to put it on, If I'm putting something on, it better be something related to programming, because that's my focus. I want to learn more about programming.
So it's like, do you want to apply that to your career now and like kind of go down that road?
So.
Yeah.
I do honestly like the app, not just the applicability, but what you can do with programming that will. It's not just about applicability. It's like it'll open up a new avenue of thought for you. Like yesterday, I was doing a video for about Chinese characters, and I found a site that listed all the Chinese radicals. A radical is a simplified version of a character that they use as sort of a kind of like a part of another character. So I was looking up this webpage of all the radicals, and I was trying to search for the one that I wanted to find. But then I realized I could just take this CSS HTML page. It's using JavaScript, so I now know how to use the code to find it for me, so I don't need to find it with my eyes. This is the stuff that when I took programming back in high school, I didn't realize this is how you apply it. You make your life easier. So like now that I'm learning the big picture of programming, I can do that kind of stuff. Of course I didn't, because it's really easy to stick to what you know and
Right.
not try something to do. But I
Oh yeah.
realized in my mind, I can now apply code and make my life easier. So this is why programming is so useful. It changes the way you think about things, and then you learn to be more efficient.
Do you wish you had, looking back, do you wish you still had studied what you did at Penn?
Here's what I would say. The path that I took at Penn, I don't regret at all. But what I do regret is not taking a year off. And this is something I talked about with Jake, the other Penn alum on my channel.
That.
If I took a year off, my life would have been completely different, because I would have gone in a little older. I would have had a year of real experience. I'm not the kind to fuck around. So I would have done stuff for that year. And then I would have gone to Penn. I would have had a different path. So knowing that I didn't take a year off and how my mind was, I don't regret at all what I took, but I do regret not taking that year off, because it would have made me very different. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's something that that's slowly working its way into the minds of a lot of men and a lot of people our age, is this idea of, I didn't declare my major until I was a junior. I went in wanting to study journalism for the sake of getting into sports broadcasting and doing that. And I love interviewing people, and that's something both of us like. And so that was like, generally, I think I can write, and that'll be what I do. But I didn't really have any understanding of how the domino effect of simple decisions that you make in college, or simple forks in the road that you don't deem really have a long path. The two paths that you're considering don't really have a long path. They're just a decision that will impact you for the short term. I don't really think I had the broadest perspective, of how my decisions would impact me. And I very much was just like, oh, I'm playing baseball, taking life day by day and kind of doing that. And taking that year off, whether it's before college, whether it's after college, I think it probably might be more valuable for your mind before college. But I think you might have, depending on if you have college debt, you might have more economic freedom after college. I don't know. I don't really know. Obviously, you're just 18. You might not have much at all if you're doing that gap year right there. But it basically slows life down to a point where you can process. And slowing life down today is shamed, I feel like, in Western culture. And that's why MGTOW is shamed, I think, because while, I'm, with MGTOW, I have more free time, and, I have more free time than if I was trying to work away at the plantation, so to speak. You can kind of hit the gas pedal when you want, and you can take your foot off the gas pedal when you want. But like, society is just like, you should always be going full throttle. You should always be hitting the NOS button. Like, and for what reason, And it's like, how many 45-year-old guys, 55-year-old guys look back and they're like, I wish I had realized that I had the control to slow life down.
Yeah.
I just chose not to.
Yeah.
Right.
That is such a brilliant point. And I think every guy on their deathbed says, oh, I should have taken more risks. I should have done more random things.
Yeah. Like
100% accurate. And part of it is, like you said, our society. And I don't think it's just the West. It's just society has this pressure for people, especially men, to be like, okay, what's the next step? What's the next step? Oh yeah, you're still dating and not married when you're 30. You're a man child. Oh, you don't have kids when you're 50. You're a man child, right? There's this pressure for people to continue moving forward with their life. Well, it's like, well, fuck it. What if I just want to enjoy the now?
It's like, why do I answer to you? Like, you're making the rules for me. Do you see me over here, proselytizing and telling you like you need to live this certain way? I mean, it's such a male projected thing, the male worker bee, projection. And there's this also idea that like traditionalism, and Stardust was mentioning this in Germany, where he doesn't make money necessarily in a traditional sense. He's always kind of been like an online entrepreneur, and people kind of like are skeptical about him because of that. You know, it's like, wait, you don't go to the office and work 9 to 5. You don't wear a suit and tie every day. Like you're scary. Like there's something weird about you. You know, it's like, get back there and work. You know, it's like, and it's like, that's the only, and when women see that too, I mean, you go to a woman and you'd be like, yeah, I'm like an online entrepreneur. I don't like, I have like 6 different jobs that I work online, and it all adds up to support me and it pay my bills. You know, but it's not one 9 to 5 job that pays the same. And she would be concerned about the fact that you're doing this online. You're not going to the office working. You know, it's like she wants you also to answer to somebody else for the sake of, you know, I don't know what it provides for her, you know, but yeah, you know, it provides her this archetype. I suppose, you know, that's why she loves the man in uniform, you know.
Yeah, and this is why in LA it's a little easier to do your own thing, because everyone here's half the people here, not half the people, maybe 20% of people are struggling something type of creative. Yeah. So at least they kind of understand you on that. And there's going to be a lot less shame or a lot less shaming of people who like do a lot of stuff to support themselves. Like this is a really funny story. I don't think I told you this. I was an extra, just for the sake of it. I was an extra on the show Silicon Valley.
Oh, really?
And yeah, it's pretty funny. I was in a scene. This is how retarded the film industry is. Instead of going to Chinatown, the actual Chinatown in LA, which is a joke, that Chinatown is nothing because all the Chinese people moved out to the suburbs, right? So that Chinatown is just like a remnant of like Southern Chinese people here back in the early 20th century. But anyways, that Chinatown's a perfect place to film. Instead of just like renting out or, you know, getting the city paying the licensing fees or whatever to get a permit to film in the actual Chinatown, they went into like a sketch part of LA where it's all homeless people. Yeah. They built a Chinatown from scratch. And then instead of blocking off the whole area, they only blocked off 2 sides of the street. So we're there filming it for a film shoot that should have taken only 2 hours. It took them 8 to 10 hours. I got there in the afternoons. I didn't get there when they were filming in the morning, but it took them at least 8 to 10 hours because they had to hire security to like cordon off the area. So it's like, okay, cars, stop. Okay, film a take. Okay, let the cars through. So you film a take to wait 10 more fucking minutes because you had to let all the cars through. Oh, man. It's like, who planned this shit? Who planned? Okay, let's spend money. Let's build a Chinatown. That's production costs. Let's now hire security to block off only 2 of the streets. So we have to hire more security to block the cars that are going through the other streets. And it's like, what the fuck? And then of course the production central casting is the organization that hires the extras. So they were running late, so they didn't give me my call time. So it was a really funny experience just seeing how fucking stupid the film industry is. But you know what? Here's what I did. The scene, it's like it takes place in Shenzhen. Shenzhen's the tech manufacturing capital of the world. It's like the place where all your iPods, all your iPhones are made. So in this episode of Silicon Valley, basically they travel to Shenzhen for some reason. And in the scene I'm in, there's some bicyclist who gets hit by their car and he gets mad because it happens a lot. And then if I played my cards right, you probably see me crossing the street. It's really funny.
Nice. That's awesome. You've been in other, you've been an extra in other films, right?
Yeah, so I mean, we can get into this real quickly. I was I'm not gonna give the title of this movie, but I was in this stupid zombie movie. It's not stupid as in like it's dumb. It's just stupid as in he purposely was trolling. Like he wasn't serious about making a profound zombie movie. He just wanted to make a very weird kind of like, there was a lot of sex and nudity in it, but like I was in it and I was, I guess you would call it a feature. So I wasn't an extra. I got credit on it, but I'm not proud of it because it's like, it's something I don't want my kids seeing if I ever had kids. So I was in a zombie movie and then I was in this man, it's this like weird Chinese indie movie, and the director's an asshole. So like, I don't associate with that movie anymore. I'm probably never gonna see the movie.
I think. Did you talk about that one before on a
I
video?
think so. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
I
if
think so.
the story of the actress that just like came to my place,
Yeah,
I told her she can't fucking come. It's my
yeah,
parents'
yeah.
place.
That was the one. Yeah.
That was from that experience, and then I did this sci-fi short film. By the way, talking about Russians, the director of that, he's an American, but he's from Russia, and he's so stereotypically Russian. Like he does not know how to watch his fucking mouth,
Yeah.
and he pissed off everyone in the production because I don't know. He just got mad and he like dissed everyone. He sent an email, was like, "It's time to grow up." Like such a fucking asshole. And so like you basically, good job. You ruined your career forever. No one wants to work with you anymore. But that sci-fi short film actually won a few like small awards, which is really fucking ironic because the green screen, the special effects are so bad in it. And honestly, I'll be honest, my acting I felt was really cringe. So I was one of the leads in it. So like I don't ever want to show that to people. There's only one scene in that short film that I was kind of proud of. All the rest of it, part of it was because the director, the Russian guy, edited it too, and he had no idea how to fucking edit. He did not understand pacing, so he held shots too long. It just, I watched it. I'm like, I get it. I'm cringed out by my own acting, which I think everyone is, but it could have been solved if it were edited better. Sure. So it's not something I'm proud of. And then there was this Philly movie that was directed. It was like a really interesting kind of like experimental movie, but the scene I filmed didn't make it into it, which is really sad because it would have been a really interesting nightmare scene. I was like pole dancing or some shit like that. I've never played anything normal. It's really funny.
That's all right. Never played anything normal. I mean,
yeah, it goes with my troll personality.
Yeah, it fits, right? Yeah. So that's okay.
I mean, I guess on Silicon Valley, if I do make it in that scene, I'm pretty normal. I'm just a normal Chinese person crossing the street. So
I guess you can have one normal role.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, one normal role.
Yeah. Yeah. You need to make when's the MGTOW the MGTOW Jerry Lew's directed MGTOW films coming out.
So one thing I actually want to do, talking about that, is I want to do more kind of, because a lot of people like that college film. Remember that college film I put on where it's like that girl ended up dating the homeless guy? So a lot of people like that movie, and I thought about I can do some more of that. So I'll get on that. I have a bunch of ideas, kind of like funny, maybe slightly red pill-ish kind of short films I can do.
I think the interest for that's kind of proliferating right now. Do you know who Eric Andre is? If you do, I'll go forward with it.
Eric Andre? No, I don't know. The Eric Andre show?
Yeah. I think it might be filmed in LA. I don't know where it's filmed actually. Mm-hmm. But anyway, it was like the most MGTOW related. I don't watch a lot of TV, obviously, or like movies, but it was basically, it was very MGTOW. I think somebody might have posted it like when your friend goes blue pill or something. He's sitting at home. So Eric Andre is just sitting at home. He's getting all excited. He got the pizza ordered, and he thinks his friend, like we'll call him John, is coming over to watch the game. And then the FBI comes and he's like, do you know John, or whatever? And he's like, or whatever. And he's like, yeah, he's my friend. I got a picture of him right here. And he's like, I'm afraid he's gone. You'll never see him again. And it's like John has a girlfriend now, and and he's just like breaking down. But it's like, I mean, like there's so much opportunity for like MGTOW related comedy. I feel like too, even like that you can like really branch off of. But I got another question from Oslo real quick before I saw your first one, Oslo. I was just didn't respond to it. You kind of, I mean, you've touched on this before. I know you're kind of what your response would be, but he says, I remember you used to film those stories to make you go MGTOW at your workplace. Good. Those are good ones, by the way. Did any of your work colleagues ever discover your channel online, and how did you handle it?
Yes. So I did film it at my workplace, but never during work hours. So I don't think anyone cared, but I think all my coworkers have seen at least one or two of those videos. So I think at least 200 people at my company have seen those videos. But I mean, nobody cared. I mean, it's just Jerry. Jerry just speaks his mind.
Well,
And that's one of the things I did like about my company. They treated people like crap. A part of treating people like crap is, hey, speak our minds. Nobody cares.
well, that's an interesting thing you say. I mean, the more that you're treated like crap, it kind of like liberates you to speak honestly as the
Yeah.
person receiving crap. It's like, not only do you feel like, what do I have to lose, which is probably like the main driving factor, but it's like, well, you're clearly just speaking your mind, so why don't I just speak my mind? It like kind of fosters that, where if it's like this buddy environment where everybody's PC all the time and trying to be each other's friend and really only talks bad about each other when it's behind your back, you're not going to end up being honest.
Yeah.
You know, and it kind of like, in a sense, it fosters that. And you probably, just the continual emphasis on trying to be honest. I mean, the fact, if you're honest in the present form, it's not really like this shock value when you go see, oh my gosh, Jerry talks about MGTOW.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, I didn't expect that. I thought he was a white knight, I
mean, everyone at the company knew I was single, and everyone knew I flirted, but with a troll type of flirtatiousness. And everyone knew, even, the company was Chinese, but I still pushed boundaries all the time. Like one time I just went on and on about I was helping them. We have a creator platform. I still say we, like I'm still there, but the company had a creator platform to compete against YouTube, and the platform just sucked ass. And I kept trying to help them, So one time what I did was, there were all these, I don't know why, all these videos of like dogs humping were on there. I just started putting it in the group chat that everyone at the company could see. I'm like, yo, watch this. This is cool. Watch this. This is cool. Watch this. And then like, there are like girls like doing weird stuff. So I put that there. And then I'm like, oh, by the way, here's a girl I admire. So I started like, there's this really hot Portuguese singer. I started putting her content. I'm like, instead put this on, man. It works with our Brazilian app. It's like, I would troll like that. So everyone knew Jerry just kind of, he got the work done. He worked hard. He's a good person, but when he needs to, he'll be funny. And so everyone knew that.
And I mean, I think a man can kind of build that rapport. And I kind of have that, I have the persona at work too, where it's like, I think mainly it might not necessarily be the things I say. I just kind of have some weird idiosyncrasies, I suppose, at work. And so people are just like, it kind of frees you up to just be. When people see you, is like, oh, like, he does this or he does that. But the thing about at work too, for me, is I had a situation the other week where, so I supervise directly like quasi supervise like 6 girls, and they're all younger than me. And and so it's just like, I bond with one of my coworkers, and he's in his 40s, and he's just like, so he's like, you really have a lot of things to figure out in your life, man, if you ever want to get married. And it was like out of the blue too. I was like, this is not even contextual. Like, we were talking about sports, like, or something. I don't know what we were talking about. And I was just like, I had one of my the girls that I supervise, like right next to me. And it was just like, well, man, if I had to do that, I just think about all the extra money that I have to make, it's just like, just thinking about the cost benefit analysis there. And it's like, and the thing is, like, what inherently is the issue with saying that if you're completely honest in every facet of your life too? It's like, the more honest that you are, the less stark that those things become, and for me, I know, I don't necessarily think people would be surprised that I have these views, on YouTube. If they were to see my videos, they might. I don't know, but I think that the main thing that I try to emphasize is just being kind of level-headed, so to speak, and trying to like actually make a point where it's an argument, not just an ad hominem per se, like in videos. And what was I going to say? But yeah, with people knowing, so not many people actually know in the flesh, like, that I make the videos, like they know me in real life, that I make these videos. But my older sister, does, and she, like, I've been pretty close with her growing up and everything, and she was she kind of generated one of my more popular videos, feminism's effect on middle school kids, and it's gotten there's like probably 1,000 comments, so it would like kind of like it blew up a little bit, and I thought the video sucked kind of, but it was like whatever. But like she came with the scenario from her own work situation, and she told it to me on the phone one day. She's like, this kind of relates to your channel, and I was like, okay, cool. So I wrote it down and I made a video on it, and she calls me like 2 weeks later and she's like breaking down, like really upset about something that happened at work, and she like prefaced the phone call with like, I really hope that like I can just talk to you right now, and it doesn't end up being content for your stream or content for your YouTube channel. And I was like, oh man. I was like, oh man, this is like the first thought that's going through your mind right now is whether or not I got my notepad out writing down, oh, this is a perfect script. It's like I'm misering all the stories. It's like, just let it go. Like I've been talking to you for 24 years of my life. Like, now that I just have this MGTOW channel doesn't mean, it's like I'm looking to just suck information from you for the channel. So
there is a tendency, at least for me, there is this incentive sometimes. I do want to tell stories that people tell me, but certain times people tell me, hey, please don't, and I just don't. But I will have to admit, the incentive grows as the channel gets bigger. Yes. You're like, there's so many goddamn good stories people tell me. But if they know you, they're like,
oh, man. There are so many stories that I would want to share, but like there's almost too much, some of the details too. Like I'm considering maybe some of them I'd put like on Patreon for people that like I absolutely trust to watch, because like, and I think that's the case for a lot of MGTOW guys, like regardless of, a lot of, MGTOW guys know a lot about my personal stories. They know a lot about your personal stories, and you mentioned like people directly, but there's still more, it's like, there's still so many more, that could be touched upon.
Yeah. And just one more thing to answer Oslo MGTOW's question. The weird contradiction about my former company was that it was so oppressive, but everyone in China even used that oppression to just be very loose about like the kind of flirtatious culture / the personal life. So a lot of times people would just like everyone became best friends at work, and people would openly flirt with each other, which is really weird. It's like, it's not something that's looked highly upon in China, but people openly flirt with each other, and people just got into each other's personal business all the time. So in a way, by having those videos on a variety of topics, many of them on MGTOW, it satiated everyone in China's getting into my life. So instead of asking me about life, which they did, there's these two fucking girls asked me about dating in college, which got really awkward. They were at my place. We were having hot pot. They started asking me about dating in college. I was like, fuck, this is getting too personal. Yeah. But for the rest of them, there's all these videos of Jerry. So it satiated their need to ask me anything else personal. I mean,
that's true.
I already had a lot of stuff online. And then, so the other thing was, because there was that culture of flirtatiousness / it's so oppressive, let's do something about it. I don't know. It made it so relationships were just something that like people just talked about and just had fun trolling each other. Like this panda, a girl at the company gave me this panda, and like everyone at the company, so like at least 50 to 100 people knew. They're like, oh, let's see if Jerry's gonna marry this girl. Oh my god. And like that was just a running joke.
It's a token of her love.
Yeah, exactly. Just a running joke. And so like in a way, it made it kind of fun, and it made making these videos not a big deal, because would this happen at an American company? Like some fucking girl like brings you a panda or something like that. It's like, so there's already things that are crossing the line that in America wouldn't be accepted. But there's other things, of course, that it's like Americans would do and Chinese people wouldn't do. So there's cultural clashes and cultural differences when you work at a company that's international. So I think a lot of this stuff was just all for the experience, all for it's just part of being an international company. And that's one of the reasons why I stayed for so long. I had my problems with the management and the direction of the company, but hey, the culture at least allowed for this type of like freedom. Like, girl, this is really funny. And this is something that probably would happen very below the radar in America. But like people would flirt with their bosses openly in China, in the company in China, and like no one gave a fuck because it's like, you know, then that's something as an American, I even had to call them out. I'm like, hey, you guys should stop flirting with your bosses. Like there's a thing in America called you keep your private and your public life separate. And you know what their immediate reaction is? They're like, hey, Jerry, are you just jealous we're not flirting with you?
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, okay, I see how it is.
So, that's a huge difference.
I know. So then I started flirting with them to troll them. It's kind of funny. Like one of the things I like giving people back rubs. So I always like give people back rubs at the company. No one cared. So I think I've gotten very good with my massage skills. So imagine an American company if you like gave someone a back rub. This is like HR right there.
HR police are out on the full force if that would happen.
Yeah. Or imagine if HR found that a subordinate was flirting with the boss. Like
that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like dude, this is so funny. Shows you, I'm not always just nice. Like I screenshotted a lot of the bullshit, and I'm like, if I ever want to make a video or ruin some reputations, I got some screenshots. Although I might have deleted it. I don't know, because part of the company, right? You have to respect that the company's like privacy. So maybe I did delete them ultimately. I'm looking at my phone right now. I don't know, but anyways, so like that was one of the joys of working at a Chinese company. And I talked about this when I got back from China on the business trip. Like, there was a girl who was fat, and then instead of like dancing around the problem, she's fat and no one cared. Imagine that in America.
Oh, yeah. In America, it's, once again, it's one of those honest statements that you're coming out and you're crushing this girl's dreams just by mentioning, making a statement about how she looks. It's so ridiculous. It's the fat acceptance movement thing anyway.
Yeah. And I called her. She found out I quit, so we had a conversation because she's a very talented girl, but she's not being used well at the company either. So I was giving her ideas. Okay, if you don't have money saved up, don't just quit immediately. How do you like find your motivation again? And for me, what worked was, hey, I had my own brand. So she's a very talented singer. She's got a good personality. She's really fat, which is, we're all being honest. But I told her, hey, you're a fat girl. You got a good personality. Why don't you do a channel on that? Imagine if I like told someone in America that, oh yeah, You're a fat girl. Why don't you do a channel on that? She wasn't offended. She's like, no, that's a good idea, but I'm actually trying to lose weight right now, so maybe that's not good. And then I'm like, well, you're trying to lose weight. Why don't you do a channel about your fat girl trying to lose weight? She's like, hey, that's a good idea.
Well, it's like a no-brainer for a male. Like, I don't know if you know who Boogie 2988 is.
Yes, I love that guy.
Yeah. Well, it's exactly that. It's like his popularity. If he was 5'10", 180, he probably, or whatever, like some typical archetype, he would be popular, I think, still, but not nearly to the extent. I think it really did add some. People wanted to be a part of that struggle. They thought he was affable and honest because of it. But seeing that as a female, that would be that you can't even compare those two channels if he was a female, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm getting in some questions here. People are putting some in the comments. I think Oslo kind of just followed up, kind of the same question. Did any of your work colleagues discover your channel online? So I guess you pretty much answer that.
Yeah.
And then the next one is, quickly to me, how many testimonials have you gathered so far? That's for me. I'm just kind of getting all these like MGTOW testimonials from different guys. I probably have gotten through email probably over 70, I'm guessing. So it's quite a few testimonials that I'm putting together, a little collection of them book. How do you educate people that feminism in the schools is cancer? I want to put up MGTOW posters calling out feminism. Personally, I don't really think that MGTOW posters in the school are going to be able to stay up. Probably get taken down. But there's more effective ways to go about that. Really, I mean, you can't go about just interjecting in a public school that feminism is cancer, especially because the public school systems, even a lot of the private schools, even secondary and primary schools, and looking at private high schools, mostly private high schools are Catholic or Christian or so forth. Even those are extremely feminized, so that though that's really pretty much ingrained. But I think that educating men within schools, within the school setting, I don't even think it's a feasible thing right now, because I mean, many men, they risk termination. They risk the termination of their job, if they were to be professors or be teachers speaking about the dangers of feminism. And part of the reason I believe that is, that is a subjective statement, and if subjective statements are made against things that are protected in society, like feminism or just diversity for the sake of diversity or just things like that, then it's going to be viewed as hate. But if it's a subjective statement in defense of those things, it's going to be viewed as useful intellectually. So, which is kind of backwards. But I don't really know. I don't really know if there's an avenue for that right now. Like, I don't know what you'd say.
Honestly, I think your answer is as good as mine.
Yeah, it's a part of MGTOW. I mean, it's part of why. I mean, like, we're kind of at a stage of passive resistance in that sense, because it's not a lot. There's a lot you can do to handle it. The best you can do is inform yourself personally, and just don't spend time in the settings where feminism is proliferating, like, and is as best as you can. The next one is Jerry. At what age did you finally start to quote unquote get it and started going MGTOW?
Oh man, that's a hard question, because let's be honest, I'm just being honest. Sometimes I feel like I still don't get anything in the world. So but okay, I know what he's asking.
Yeah.
Probably 26. 26 is when I said, okay, most of this makes sense and I'll just keep learning. But honestly, I still don't think I'll be honest. Sometimes I still feel uncomfortable with people like watching my channel and learning a lot of lessons. But part of it is just you just have to accept that. But yeah, the 26 is probably the right age.
Yeah,
I'm almost 28 now. So for those of you wondering, going into my 30s.
Yeah, it's crazy to think. For me, I would say, I think that both of our minds, I think the minds of many men that go MGTOW and accept red pill information, they have, the seeds were planted and the soil was being tilled and cultivated for it long before they knew about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, right. So you're like, I always bring this up. I remember when I saw Fight Club for the first time when I was 14, and that movie became my favorite at 14. I was obsessed with it throughout high school. And it's clear there that, like, I was already seeing the social malaise, so to speak, in the environments that I was in already. And that to me, it was like, okay, the ground was getting tilled, the harvest was getting ready. But finally it hit for me when I was about 20. I was 22. I'm 24 now. After, in particular, my dating, that was kind of, I had the red pills in other areas, but not in the realm of dealing with women. And that kind of was the final kicker for that. But it is a constant learning process. I'm constantly learning every day, especially having to be accountable on MGTOW, on making videos and learning and being up to date. I'm learning just how much I don't know through it too. And then the next question.
Just so you know, I answered the Juan's question, so we don't have to bring it up unless we want to bring it up to everyone. But I think I answered his question in the chat.
Oh, okay, cool. Another one I got was, how did you deal with, Jerry, how did you deal with seeing reality for what it is rather than what you were brought up to see? So I guess that's a similar one, but
yeah, it is a similar one. I mean, just to answer it briefly, there is a tendency to want to not always admit it, right? So sometimes, for the sake of your sanity, you got to smoke some pot or Go hang out with your friends, drink a little, or go exercise like crazy. I've been learning how to hip hop dance. Get your mind off this, because if you're thinking about it all the time, you're not grounded either. Oh my God, life, fuck, harassment. That's not healthy either, right?
Right. And I think I don't know. For me, like seeing, I guess it's like the red pill rage kind of allusion to in that question. Red pill rage is, I don't think it was necessarily something I went to. It was like coming across this stuff was like an act of therapy. It was like, oh, like the things that I had been thinking about they're not able to become real and manifest themselves in reality until someone else spoke it into existence. So for me, it was just like, oh, this is bliss. It was like before I was kind of angry, like I was in red pill rage, so to speak, during my dating experiences or, other times in high school or wherever it was. And another guy said that there should be a surviving your 20s MGTOW video. I actually made a MGTOW video with that exact title. So you can check that out. That's an important topic. Another one is Sunrise. Have you ever considered a live stream with Human? That would be nothing short of epic. Absolutely.
That would be epic. I will tune in for the whole hour and the whole hour after that if you guys do it.
I would love, man. Human is so sharp. Everything that he says, he doesn't misuse. He doesn't use words without having meaning behind them. He's very impactful with the words that he uses, and he knows how to deliver message eloquently. And man, if I could get him on for a live stream or just a chat, I probably would rather just chat, because I don't know, I haven't never spoken to him directly other than through comments. So yeah, absolutely. There's so many guys that I want to talk to. I have a list of guys that I'm getting geared up for. M Crafts is one of the first guys I ever came across for MGTOW. I think he was the first MGTOW video, and a lot of guys know about him, but I'll be doing one with him. And then I was trying to get a hold of Paul Proteus. I don't know if you ever watched Paul Proteus's stuff.
Come up right now.
He's awesome. And then who's the other guy? Orangello. He's kind of a crazy.
Oh, Orangello! I haven't seen him on my channel for a while, but he used to like talk on my channel. I love that guy.
That dude is something. I want to do a stream with him, and I think he's like 24, 25 too. So it'd be a lot to talk about. So yeah, and then another question I got, it's regarding writing a book. Hold on, let's see if I can find it.
But nobody reads books anymore.
Nobody reads a book. Have you ever considered publishing a MGTOW book, collabing? Yeah, with other MGTOW channels. Actually, writing is like, I write all my videos out, so I think it's probably like 500 some pages now. In the past 6 months written of these things, and part of me is like, it's therapy, but I want to have that intellectual property somewhere. But interviewing and talking to people is something that I like, is a big passion of mine. So what I want to do is, I would kind of want to make like a MGTOW history book, so to speak.
That would be cool.
And mark the different times when different channels came up and what was the inspiration, during this time for Barbar, and why he talked about this, or, Stardust and seeing Sandman jump onto into the realm and changing YouTube, and Sandman's impact on MGTOW, and like how Sandman goes in and talks about how he got some flack for being a MGTOW daily content producer, because he thought it was pushing some of the guys down in the search results. But Sandman said, hey, if I'm making so many videos, then people are going to be more likely to find MGTOW. And it was like he was vouching for MGTOW as a whole. So different things like that. I mean, that's something I want to do.
That would be, if you do that, that would be absolutely brilliant, man. Oh my God.
Because there's so many answers it's interesting how I always think of like the origin of MGTOW, and it's like Easter Island. It's like it just kind of got there.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, who is this Obi-Wan character that Obi-Wan-esque monk like character that made MGTOW and then disappeared into the abyss, and it's like looking back and getting everybody's perspective on and just kind of looking at the individual history of each MGTOW content producer, because I know for me, it's like I kind of go in intellectual cycles. Like sometimes something is really on my mind and I need to talk about this in my videos, and sometimes it's something completely different, you know? And like, why is that? You know, so.
And then if you really wanted to make it a fun book, you could talk about the feuds, like the Sandman, the Stardust. And then recently, oh my God, the TFM and his buddy DDJ, I believe, versus Chris Cantu and Miggy. And then, of course, you could talk about how the mainstream reaction, how they took down Big John and then they took down Miggy recently. It's crazy.
Right. All these things, they're like no matter what happens, you know, like, and I want to make videos as long, you know, I don't want to stop. I don't want to ever stop making them. But that is one of my long-term goals, because I think that just for somebody looking onto MGTOW, it's just like there's really kind of there's just so many pieces scattered out there, and I think that's kind of reflecting the nature of MGTOW. You know, like, you know, just guys over here and guys over here, and but there's really no cohesive collection of almost how I liken it is in football. There's this thing called coaching trees, where, you know, you have one head coach and he has like, in each staff there's like 8 assistant coaches, and this head coach emphasizes this part of coaching or this type of offense, and he really impacts those other 8 assistant coaches, and then those assistant coaches go on to be head coaches, and they coach in the same way that the head coach they worked under did, and they call it like the Don Capers coaching tree or something like that. And there's kind of like that in MGTOW. It's like I was like, all right, Jerry, I like the personality you have on your videos. So it's like, I like that. Sandman, I like the structure of the video. So it's like, you know, and I like the stuff he talks about. So I'm going to kind of tailor my content towards that. And there's kind of that in MGTOW, you know, a little bit with how certain guys make their content.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, for me personally, I jumped on talking. I didn't even think I would ever talk about social issues, because for me, when I started my first channel, I was kind of just trolling, just teaching people, hey, don't give a fuck, right? So that was my channel. If those of you who don't know, the Jerry Lou Films channel, that was me just trolling. Like I would ask people to kiss me, I would ask people to dance with me, stupid stuff like that. And then when I decided to jump on making stuff about MGTOW, analyzing society, it's not like I gave people a warning. I just kind of did it, and then people just found my video. So it's like there's a lot in that, like you said, in MGTOW. So most people who stumble on MGTOW not knowing stuff about sort of red pill thought or manosphere thought or whatever, they probably they wouldn't understand what it is watching my videos. They'd be like, oh, you know, he makes sense, or, you know, some of his stuff's weird, but where did this come from? And then they'll go down the rabbit hole and they might still not be able to figure out what's going on. Like, there's not even really a good What's MGTOW video. Like Sandman has one. I think TFM has one. Terrence Pop definitely has one. But like, none of those are like the definitive stuff, because like I tell people, no one is the definitive MGTOW spokesperson, and whoever says they're the definitive MGTOW spokesperson is probably not.
Yeah, get them off the pedestal, because there never should be, you know. And it's like MGTOW is stronger when it doesn't have a, you know, quote unquote, when it's not pursuing that leader. You know, it's like, it's just like, have it rest as an idea, and then it builds strength.
Yeah, and the decentralization. This is something I've been talking about with my group in LA, but they tell me, and this is the majority opinion, they don't want the group getting bigger. Like, people keep wanting to join, and I keep trying to get more people to join. But a lot of the people in my existing group say, hey, you know, Jerry, we just want to keep it this small, and other people can create other groups even in LA, but we just want this group this small. And I know part of it is the fear that is some fucking Elliot Rodgers type of person might like emerge, and they don't want something like that associated with the group that we created. But I mean, you know, you can't prevent that. Bad people just draw themselves to certain ideologies, and they don't represent the ideology. Or MGTOW's not even an ideology. They just draw themselves to certain ways of thought. But the decentralization thing is something that makes this whole MGTOW thing so unique.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the main tenets of it. And Orangello, actually, going back to him, he has one of my favorite MGTOW videos out there. And I think he said why I'm MGTOW. And so I made my own why I'm MGTOW video kind of in response to his. And and the 3 tenets that I think I'm trying to remember what I wrote down on my phone, but one of them One, it was self-actualization, and then there was three, but the other one was decentralization. And that decentralization aspect is elemental to it, because like people go into our channels, and I want them always to realize that, I'm first, my purpose for making videos is to offer information that will be used to protect you from bad things and to help you do good things within the scope of MGTOW, and to hopefully give you more freedom. It's not for me to direct you to live your life, because that in itself is contrary to MGTOW. And for anybody that gets that impression, I mean, that I'm relaying the wrong impression. And the second thing is, hey, if you need somebody to talk to, or you want to talk about something so we can become sharper, we can do that. Or third, if you need, like, I get like kind of counseling-esque emails where people kind of just lay their stories on the line and they're like broken down. I was talking to a guy this week who is, I never spoken before. I just knew a friend. I just knew his friend, and he was crying. He had just like lost his, like he won't be able to see his kids anymore. He has 3 kids and all this situation. And it's just like, you're like, part of it's just like a counseling element. Yeah.
So and the one thing I will say is that, especially this probably relates more to TFLs too, but just sometimes it is good to just seek help. And this is for me too. Sometimes it is good to seek help from actual trained professionals. And I find this, I talk to a lot of TFLs because a lot of them, they want to express their views too. And I could just see so much like years and years of like not talking to a professional just comes out in their talk with me. And I actually recently talked to a guy. I'm not going to name him, but of course he's a great guy, but he probably had all these bad thoughts buried in him for like 20 years. And he just laid it out on me. And after an hour, I said, dude, I can't take any more of this. I'm not a trained professional. I get it's therapy for me, but it's no longer therapy for like me as a Jerry. So like I stopped him there and he apologized. But like, yeah. I'm glad we had that conversation because, you talk about it's therapy for people, but sometimes with the anger and with the shit that goes on in life, you gotta either diversify who you lay it out to, or like just seek professional help. That's something, and the mental health is something that our society sucks at too. So this is not pushing blame on anything. It's just something that we as a society need to work better on.
Yeah, and it certainly is. It we're not good at self-reflection is one of the big things. We don't know how to internalize and how to reflect decisions that we've made and how they impact our lives, and even decisions that other people around us that are influential have made that have impacted us. And many times it's parental, and I know you talk about that a lot, or it's some experience as a kid, or these things. And I get into those situations too where, honestly, I mean, that's probably one of the most tasking parts of making MGTOW content, and it's like a blessing to hear from everybody. But I'll be talking on the phone probably to somebody new, like every day or every other day at least, and and it's just I'm trying to manage it, and trying to manage the stories and try to stay intellectually sharp through it, because a lot of these guys are like, I have no idea what to do now. I would just got out of jail or something happened. I just lost custody. And it's just like, man, I'm 24. How do I process this? How do I help this person? How do I actually bring anything into the picture that they can use? And part of it is just listening. And sometimes, honestly, my energy wise, that's all I can offer, but that's such another big element of like being a MGTOW content producer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I got a question real quick. This one's, looks like an eschatological apocalyptic thing. What does the prophecy of Jeremiah say about women bringing down civilization? So I guess that was, to me, it's about Jeremiah in the Bible. I've been looking through it recently, and I know that Isaiah talks about it a lot too. And I think Joel as well, but looking directly for like feminism, so to speak, it doesn't necessarily, it's not going to use the word feminism. That wasn't a word in the Bible, as much as feminist interpreters of the Bible might want to say that. But the big thing that I always look for is just in First Samuel and like First Kings, with the Jezebel spirit that I always talk about, comes from Jezebel, who is the queen King Ahab, who Ahab was one of the big kings in Israel for, I think it was like 40 years. But Jezebel, like essentially Ahab was a blue pill cuck. Like he was like, he bent over backwards for her. His wife was like the typical, she was probably pretty hot, like kind of BPD sociopathic. And he ran him to the ground, and he had like no power over Israel, and Israel just went in complete disarray simply because of her. Jehu, who was like, I think he was like a prophet or whatever. Like he came into the picture and like, try to end up getting her killed, and she eventually got like thrown off a balcony and like just killed in the streets and eaten by dogs. So it was kind of a fitting ending, but like that itself was very like prophetic. So I mean that's like the best answer I could provide right now. But TFM actually on one of his podcasts, one of my friends that I did a stream with on Friday, he listens to the TFM show, and apparently that was one of the questions that came into TFM show, and he about Jeremiah and feminism. So I'm hoping to do that next week. So, yep. In fact, I know more. Samson is a story of MGTOW. Yep, that is the first Sunday sermon I did.
Oh wow! I was trying to put a link while you talked about that to the song Jezebel, but yeah. I can't put links in the live chat. But for those of you listening, listen to the song Jezebel. It's a really good song. It really describes her power over this king.
Yeah, it's so interesting that is where the origin of that that symbolic name comes from. And she mirrors the BPD personality so much. And Ahab mirrors the whipped husband, basically. Completely.
The song's stuck in my head now.
I haven't heard it. I'll have to go listen to it.
Oh, how does it go? If ever an angel fell, Jezebel, it was you.
Oh, I think I might. No, I think
Jezebel, it was you.
Jerry dropping
a pair of eyes, promised paradise, deceiving me, grieving me, leaving me blue. It was you. It's a really good one.
Man,
if ever the devil's plan was made to torment man, it was you. Night and day. It's a good song. It explains what Jezebel is.
Yeah, it explains it probably better than I just did. Did you? Didn't you do some videos where you were just singing? You were playing on the guitar.
I'm gonna do more. Yeah. I'm gonna bring on this metalcore guy, and his girlfriend left him. His girlfriend left him on Valentine's Day.
So he's gonna make some raging metalcore.
Yeah, me and him can hopefully sing together.
Jerry's over here doing a talent show. He's acting and singing for us.
But dude, I have I have to interview someone in an hour, so let's do one last topic.
Yeah, we'll do one last. I was just gonna bring that up actually. We don't have any more questions in the chat, so we can just kind of choose one last topic. I know I wrote some down. See kind of what the most pertinent one is here.
I mean, you wanted to talk about Dunkirk, right? So we could talk about
that. We can talk about like toxic masculinity and Dunkirk real quick here. I saw Dunkirk. James Cameron obviously directed. One of my top 10 movies of all time. I'm a huge war movie fan, and I like the minimalistic approach in production, and there was not much dialogue at all, and So the issue that I see, I've looked this up, and I think the media kind of touched upon this. The left-wing, some left-wing publications, they talked about how it was so devoid of women that it was like toxically male, and it's like, okay, well, let's look at Dunkirk for the historical event that it is. Let's look at World War II for the historical event that it is. It was about men fighting in war, and it wasn't about men being heroes. These men, a lot of the main character that they followed around at Dunkirk was this like teenage boy. Essentially, I think he was like probably 16 or 17. He looked in despair. He was running the whole movie. This guy's not getting a medal. He's going back to England only to get air raided by the Germans. They evacuated Dunkirk and they got back to England. They got to the they got to Dover and whatnot, and got dropped off and put on the train and whatnot. But they evaded bombers, they evaded U-boats. He had to swim in the Atlantic Ocean. I mean, like, it wasn't like this was this male glorification movie. It was kind of a nihilistic movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't, but it's viewed as the fact that it didn't feature women, that it was, I guess you could say, misogynistic or toxic. It expressed toxic masculinity, and this is the thing. And then we're going forward in the film industry, and you probably know better than I, but I just don't see there being more movies like that. And I think that's one of the reasons Ben Shapiro was really emphasizing, yeah, this should win awards, but I know it won't win awards, because this is the narrative of the film. And it's like, we need to remove history for what it was. It was men in war. We're just telling the story as it was. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just pissed me off.
No, I can imagine. And I was looking on Reddit while you were talking about this, and it seemed like even some of the feminist people on Reddit were like, "Fuck these people for talking shit about Dunkirk." So it looks like, thank goodness, it looks like that kind of criticism of it being toxic masculinity is not in the majority.
Yeah, I mean, I think that probably is the case. I think that a few, like The Guardian, for example, being featuring the Great Britain's influence in World War II, The Guardian's going to touch on it, and all they need is one person that is going to present that angle, and it's going to, in our eyes, communicate that the majority is speaking against Dunkirk for these reasons that I put out. But it's a somber movie, and really what it if anything, it was a message about male disposability.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just like, men were just dying. We weren't even, Great Britain and France, they weren't even making any advancements. They had France behind them that they were trying to leave. They were trying to get to Great Britain just to recover. And Germany was closing in on them, and they weren't even making progress. They were just trying to survive, and they were getting picked off, and it's like, that was the end of the story. There was no resolution essentially either, and it's like, male worship, I mean, which is, it was not the case. It was just a beautifully done film. Like, let's just look at it for what it was, So.
Yeah, exactly. And
But I might make a video on that in the future. We'll see.
Yeah, that sounds good, and I will look forward to that review if you do.
Yeah. But awesome talking to you again, Jerry. A couple hours flew by. We got to do
it did fly by, and I would love to talk more. So why don't we do another one soon? In fact, next time we should talk about Black Panther. I have some thoughts on Black Panther.
I need to go see it. I haven't seen it yet, so we should do that.
Definitely. Yeah. So, and then Oslo MGTOW just said, "Hey,
I saw that."
Oh man!
Always bringing the jokes, Oslo.
I love them. But anyways, for everyone watching, thank you guys so much. This was so fun. I love Sunrise. I mean, I know him by person, so I know Sunrise. And Sunrise is a good dude. He's a really good dude. So for those of you subscribe to him, like, seriously, Sunrise is, I couldn't recommend him more highly.
Appreciate that, Jerry. And I would say the same for you, Jerry. And you were, I say this all the time, pretty much a huge catalyst for me even making these videos. And like Jerry said, we know each other outside of MGTOW, so to speak. So it does help foster better dialogue too, even on these. So thanks again, Jerry. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks again for being flexible, man, and stay in touch.
Definitely. Thank you all. Thank you, Sunrise.
Hoodie's out.
Hoodie's up.
See ya.